found him in his room.
I called his name and he didn't move.
Kevin, get up. Kevin, wake up.
And the minute I touched him, I knew he was gone.
And I just screamed, not my baby.
Fentanyl is killing more Texans than ever before.
They're passing them off as prescription drugs, Percocet, Adderall, Xanax, Oxy.
They'll post something onto Snapchat, just kind of like a fast food restaurant. They put their menu up.
You cannot tell the difference between a fake pill and a real pill.
They don't look like the medical emergencies we used to make. This is like anybody, everywhere.
It's gotta stop. It's gotta stop.
This is y'all's opportunity to learn what I wish I had known so that you don't end up like us.
All it takes is one pill.
It was one pill. It was one pill that killed him.
One decision, one and done, one pill.
To understand the fentanyl crisis, you have to hear the story of this curly-haired 14-year-old. Joshua Gillahan was an only child.
5 in vitros, just to get this one baby.
He was their miracle child.
Yeah.
Josh grew up loving dirt bikes and Little League and anything to do with water.
He was just your normal kid.
A kid who ran into some bumps along the way. When Mom and Dad caught Josh dabbling in marijuana, they got him counseling, took his phone away, even installed cameras to see who was coming over, hoping it was just a phase.
And everything was going really good. The first week of school came, and he had a great first week at school. And I said, I think we've turned the corner.
The next morning, Kim Gillahan was about to head out of town. This is the actual video from that day.
At the last minute, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to go say bye to Josh. And so I went upstairs and I called his name and he didn't answer. I called his name again and he didn't answer again.
Josh?
And then I just reached down to kind of like, you know, jostle him. And the minute I touched him, I knew he was gone.
Josh had taken what he thought was a Percocet pill. It wasn't.
It was pure fentanyl. There was nothing else in his system except for fentanyl.
Oh my God.
He would never have taken that pill if he had known what was in it. And that's the point. You don't know. Nobody knows.
The crisis has spiraled out of control. Over 5 years in Harris County, fentanyl-related deaths shot up 467%. And for victims 21 and under, it's more distressing, a 933% spike.
Fentanyl is the deadliest drug on the market today.
Robert Kennedy is with the Drug Enforcement Administration.
50 times more powerful than heroin, 100 times more powerful than morphine.
The synthetic opioid binds to receptors in the brain to block out pain. It produces an incredible high and is highly addictive, key to a drug trafficker's bottom line.
If they get you hooked and you live, you'll be back. If you don't live, then they'll find another client.
It only takes 2 milligrams to kill you. Think of just a few grains of salt. Illicit fentanyl is often pressed into counterfeit pills like oxycodone, Adderall, and Xanax that look nearly identical to the real thing.
When we send our pills to the lab, 6 out of 10 pills are coming back as lethal dosage of fentanyl. That's 60% of our pills. You're playing with your life, and there's a 60% chance that you'll end up losing.
Overdose was 67. It's the scariest thing that I've run across in my 19 years.
Paramedics with the Houston Fire Department see the crisis firsthand.
All over the city, it's daily.
Seconds always matter for first responders like Captain Michael Prigmore, but with fentanyl, the EMS supervisor says, it's even more of a race against the clock.
It's extremely potent, and it works really fast. You got about 5 to 7 minutes before the brain stops working. If we get there in that amount of time before they actually stop breathing completely, we can reverse it.
But too often, the 911 calls end like this, a life taken too soon, like the Gillihan family's miracle child, Josh.
You've chosen to make that moment public.
Yeah,
It's very hard to see.
it is.
Why choose to share it?
I feel like that's, if I could have shown my son something like that, maybe that would have gotten through to him. We were like, we have this footage and we need to figure out how to use it so that we can wake people up. And that's why we're here tonight.
Her wake-up call is working if you look at the young faces who come to hear Kim speak and watch in real time what illicit fentanyl can do.
I saw people that were really engaged. I saw people that their minds were blown. And I think that it takes something like that to get through to people sometimes, to show the reality of it. One pill will kill.
So where did the pill that killed Joshua come from? Most likely through here, the U.S.-Mexico border, where drug smugglers routinely dare federal agents in a game of catch me if you can.
Roughly here through Laredo, we see about 5,000 to 6,000 vehicles per day.
At border crossings like this one, it's a numbers game, a game of odds for fentanyl smugglers who are keenly aware that with so much traffic, U.S. Customs and Border Protection simply cannot inspect it all.
It's a game of cat and mouse or finding that needle in the haystack.
To find the drugs, says Laredo Border Security Coordinator Alberto Perez, federal officers rely on a wide-ranging toolbox, from high-tech gadgetry to human gut instinct. That begins with the initial meet and greet.
They're looking for those signs of deception. So they're trying to key in on those little cues that are going to raise those red flags. That's going to cue the officer to say, hey, I need to look at this vehicle a little bit more closely.
Take this Volkswagen Bug. The front trunk won't open. So it's off to a secondary inspection where officers give the entire car a more thorough exam.
So right now he's using our fiber optic scope within the gas tank, trying to find anything that sticks out, any anomaly that shouldn't be in the gas tank.
It's just one piece of technology CBP officers use. There are giant X-ray machines to run vehicles through, and density meters too. Much like a stud finder, they can identify packed drugs behind a car's outer wall. Add to that low-tech mirrors to check the underside and high-powered noses from four-legged feds. Smugglers will try and hide their goods just about anywhere.
We've seen tires, we've seen bumpers, seen quarter panels with car batteries, car seats, car floors, car roofs. So basically anything and anywhere, any crevice a vehicle has, they'll try to put it in there.
Fentanyl is not like other drugs crossing the border.
What makes fentanyl different?
What makes it different is really you can smuggle a small amount of fentanyl into the United States and you're going to be able to make more money off of that than you would cocaine or, heroin.
Less is
more.
And that makes your job harder.
Correct.
Federal agents tell us that Mexican cartels are buying raw ingredients from China and shipping them here to Mexico, where they're creating fentanyl in clandestine labs that have no quality control, no pharmaceutical standards, basically making it in bathtubs and garages and back alley drug labs.
And then they hire runners to bring it up north, playing the odds they won't undergo a full-blown inspection. Which brings us back to that Volkswagen with a jammed front trunk. After about 10 minutes of trying, they finally get it open, but there's nothing inside. If there was, the substance would go here for on-site testing and seizure of the drugs.
We do not know what we have until we find out what we have.
And they have been confiscating more and more. Over the past 3 fiscal years, fentanyl seizures by CBP nationwide have tripled from just under 5,000 to nearly 15,000 pounds. And every day brings more cars and trucks, thousands more on this bridge alone.
It's impossible to do 100%.
Another day of catch me if you can.
It's a numbers game, yes. I think they're trying to exploit the fact that you have all this traffic in order to try to smuggle these narcotics into the U.S.